Hello everyone, Sableye here and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about everybody's beloved spider and how to utilize it in Regulation F. And to start things off, we are going to bring up its ability. Water Bubble is by far, in my opinion, one of the best abilities in the game. You get double power to your water type attacks. You cannot be burned, and it has a nice little cherry on top. Firepower coming into you is halved. That one's a lot less relevant for what we're going to talk about with this spider because Araquanid's number one purpose: send damage of the water type. That is its number one purpose and its best purpose, in my opinion. Right? You go liquidation, base 85 power, that doubles 170 base power moves, and you are just launching those off. That is where this mon shines. Back in 2017, you had the whole Z Crystal Waterium Z, and you'd send Hydro Vortexes off, right? You'd be sending that stuff off, but with now you get the Terra types, right? With Scarlet and Violet, you get those Terra types. You get the Terra Water. I don't think you really want to be playing around with the Terra at all, in my opinion. Because like I said before, the whole concept of this Pokemon is send big damage with water moves. Because its attack stat is pretty dismal, guys. 70 is not a good attack stat. But when you're launching off base 170 power moves, it is by far good enough. Like it is a really strong piece. Like you're one-shotting Fluttermanes if you run a Mystic Water set, right? We'll get into sets in a bit, but this is what you're running. Another option outside of liquidation would be Waterfall, but that's 5 base power less, which because Water Bubble doubles your attack stat, it's actually 10 base power less, which definitely feels like a little bit of too much of a fall off for me. Liquidation is optimal there. I will quickly talk about the 3 bug moves that you get, which is Leech Life, Lunge, and I believe it's Skitter Smack it's called. Yeah. So Leech Life, in my opinion, is optimal on this piece because it allows you to potentially get health back to fire off an extra water move. And the whole concept with the spider, as I've said numerous times, and I'm going to say numerous times throughout this video, is launch off big water damage, right? So Leech Life allows you to get that water type damage, get that health back, potentially fire off more big water damage. Checks out to me, seems pretty strong. Lunge, similar concept where instead of healing yourself, you're actually hindering your opponent, which potentially gives you another chance to fire off a big attack. Same thing for Skitter Smack. However, I personally prefer healing myself because it just feels like it's better in the long run, right? If I'm healing myself, you know, I'm getting more health. I should be getting effectively more back if I'm clicking it. It hits into Rillabooms and stuff like that, right? In my opinion, Leech Life is the more optimal one, but you can go with Lunge and Skitter Smack. I think Lunge and Skitter Smack have niches where, like, on the last turn of Trick Room, if I know I'm not getting a kill, I can go Lunge or Skitter Smack, and I can utilize them to keep my partner Pokemon alive and maybe help my Porygon or my Cresselia set up Trick Room for another time, right? If my Porygon 2 is at like 60% health and they switch into Fluttermane, I click Skitter Smack. Now the Fluttermane goes down to -1. Now maybe my Porygon 2 is able to survive that attack, reset the Trick Room for my spider to sweep once again. That's where I think Lunge and Skitter Smack have their niche. But in a nutshell, once again, I do like Leech Life personally. That's where my testing is going to start with this spider. This is where I would also start if I was your end. Wide Guard and Protect. There is really no reason to run any sort of coverage move, like offensive coverage move, because you have base 70 attack stat. You're not hitting anything, right? This is probably your base 4 moves. Once again, you can do some leeway with the bug move. You have some leeway with the liquidation, but I think liquidation is by far the optimal. Wide Guard is really, really cool because Rock Slide would be super effective into you, not going to hit you anymore. Bleakwind Storm, super effective into you, not going to hit you anymore. So you can actually just like Wide Guard with the Araquanid for a turn. Torn launches the Bleakwind, doesn't hit you. You kill the Torn with your partner. Spider is very safe. Spider is very healthy. And then, of course, just Protect because I think Protect is optimal. Like I said, you don't need the coverage move. There's not too many support moves, but we'll go over a few of them when we talk about the other sets. But this is, in my opinion, the optimal. Just as a heads up, guys, you can spam Wide Guard. Wide Guard is not on the same counter as Protect. You can go Wide Guard, Wide Guard, Wide Guard, Wide Guard. The one thing you cannot do is Protect after you click Wide Guard. If I click Protect first and then the next turn I want to click Wide Guard, perfectly fine. It is always going to work like that. If I click Wide Guard the following turn, my Protect counts as if I had clicked Protect on the previous turn. So it'll be on that 1/3 chance, I believe it is. Right? So Protect into Wide Guard, check. Wide Guard into Protect, it's a 30% chance. Less optimal there. just keep that in mind when you're running both of them. It's not, you don't see both of them too often, so I just wanted to mention that. But set 1, guys, like I said, this entire set, send water damage. That is the whole purpose of this set and the only purpose of this set. Got the Mystic Water, got the Terra Water, got that Liquidation, got the Water Bubble. I'm sending it. There is not much else to talk about on this set. Araquanid is built in a way where you're probably maxing out attack and maxing out HP 99% of the time, unless it's for maybe trying to live a very specific calc. But more often than not, this is a spread you're going to see. You're just going to send this 92 times a game, and you're just going to say, water, go. Go, spider, do damage. And that's really how you play this mod. You do get the added benefit, which I did forget to mention earlier, of actually being slower than both Ursaluna forms and blowing them up. Which, I don't know, that sounds pretty good to me, right? Like, if I'm going to set up a Trick Room, I want to be slower than both bears because, you know, Ursalunas are going to be a thing, and no, we're just going to send it if they don't Terra. So we're either going to force them to Terra, or we're going to send or it's going to send liquidations into them and just take them out because Water Bubble is a very broken ability. Set 2. Once again, this one is a little bit more creative, so to speak. I wanted to try and feature Clear Amulet because I do think it's an interesting concept, right? Because one of the better ways to deal with the spider is to start intimidating it, cycling it around a little bit. So if I have a Clear Amulet, they can no longer do that. Right? Incineroar wants to switch in on a slot. Well, you're not going to hinder me now, and my Liquidation is still going to go big damage into the other slot. So, in theory, Clear Amulet was really, really cool. You could probably just run Wide Guard on this set as well. I liked the concept of maybe having a tech move, and my main reasoning for that is, especially in a world where there's terrestrialization or maybe Pokemon, and maybe the meta shapes where I need to have a tech move, and my tech move can hit something 4 times effective, right? Maybe I have a Crunch. Maybe Crunch is going to become a thing where I'm going to be able to hit something 4 times effective, right? Maybe Poison Jab is going to be able to hit like those fairy types that are switching in. But generally speaking, unless there's a very good reason for you to not be clicking Liquidation based on something in the metagame, you might as well just run Wide Guard here. There's really no reason not to. I'll leave Poison Jab as fact of the matter just in case, because you can run a tech move there, but you don't need it. Once again, this is just the spread, guys. Unless you're living something, this is the spread. 252, 252, 4. Send it and move on. Set 3 is really, guys, in my opinion, not good. I am only showcasing it because it was a set back in the day. And now in 2017, the whole metagame was a whole lot slower. Everything was slowed down. You know, you get that sub-lefty stuff. You start getting health back. You just get more turns to start putting out liquidations. You'd get around to Moongus by dropping the sub, right? There was plays. This set made plays happen, made your spider be a threat. Like, if they were going to try and double protect on the last turn of Trick Room, you'd set up that sub, and then all of a sudden, outside of Trick Room, you'd have a spider behind a sub, right? You'd have those opportunities to do that. However, I think the meta has progressed so far, so fast, that everything just hits way too hard to be able to capitalize on this. Once again, EV spreads, I did drop a little bit. I changed it a little bit. I wanted to go, optimal lefties would be 160, bumped it up to 161 so I can get an extra turn of substitute up. Completely not very relevant, guys. Once again, this spread is probably perfectly fine if you sent 252, 252. But once again, I don't recommend this whole substitute. I could see substitute, but I don't think lefty substitute. Like, even on set 1, if you say, oh, I don't need Wide Guard or I don't need Protect, and you wanted to run sub instead to capitalize on that last turn of Trick Room, perfectly fine. Once again, set 1, guys, if you're looking to grab a spider and try it out for the first time, take set 1. This is the set that, in my opinion, is going to be seen from the spider. Once again, you have room to play with the bug type move. You have room to play with like your coverage moves here. I mean, you could maybe talk about like entrainment, like, which I think I'll bring up. I wasn't gonna talk about it, guys, because, you know, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'll bring it up. And entrainment is basically a move that gives your ability to your partner or your opponent. And what I was thinking, cool concept could be, maybe you pair this with an Urshifu and you entrainment your own Urshifu. Now you have a water bubble Urshifu. Is that necessarily good? I mean, you get double Surging Strikes power, but unfortunately you do lose the ability to hit through Protect. I don't know if it's good. It's funny. Entrainment is a funny move. I don't think it's good, but we can mention it. Once again, guys, this entire concept of Araquanid, just to wrap up, is spamming water moves. I should have a counter. in post editing of how many times I said spam water moves. But either way, that is the entirety of Araquanid's basis. That is what you do with Araquanid. So there it is, guys. That is how you're going to run Araquanid in Regulation F. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help our channel, and of course, I do really appreciate it. But with that, I'm going to get on out of here, and I will catch you all in a future video.